The sun beat down gently over the small suburban street as traffic hummed in the distance, but inside the worn-down house at the corner of Birchwood Lane, silence spoke louder than anything. Jacob Turner sat at his kitchen table staring at a cracked coffee mug, half empty and cold. His eyes, once sharp and filled with purpose, now carried the dull weight of exhaustion. The morning light cut through the blinds, painting long stripes across a cluttered counter where unopened bills and empty cereal boxes gathered like quiet reminders of how far life had fallen. Jacob was a veteran, a man who had served his country with loyalty and pride, but now the war he fought was invisible, the kind that crept into the heart and stayed there. After losing his wife in an accident 2 years earlier, he had been left to raise his 8-year-old son Owen on his own. Every day was a battle, finding enough food, keeping the lights on, and holding his emotions together for the little boy who still called him hero. He had been out of work for months. His last job at a local auto shop had ended when the owner downsized, and every application since had gone unanswered. The savings were gone, the fridge rattled empty, and on that bright, painfully ordinary morning, Jacob realized he had only $2 left to his name. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of good people in dark times, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Kindness Journal, and share this story with someone who needs a little hope today. Jacob pocketed those 2 wrinkled bills, intending to use them for a small loaf of bread for Owen's lunch. His boots, worn from years of marching, scuffed the concrete as he walked toward the corner store. The sound of engines roared in the distance, a motorcycle or maybe several, but Jacob didn't pay much attention. His mind was focused on the sound of his son's laugh echoing faintly from the house, mixed with the ache of wondering how much longer he could keep pretending everything was fine. As he approached the small convenience store, a sputtering sound caught his ear. A man in a leather jacket was standing beside a gleaming Harley Davidson, cursing under his breath. His bike had stalled just outside the gas station. The man looked frustrated, tapping at his fuel tank. Jacob slowed down, watching quietly as the biker removed his helmet. He looked to be in his late 30s, with wind, burned skin and eyes that held both fatigue and fire. Out of gas, the biker muttered to himself. Jacob's instinct kicked in, the same instinct that had once made him run toward danger on foreign soil. Without thinking twice, he reached into his pocket and felt those last $2. They were supposed to be for his son's lunch, but something in the man's weary expression struck him. Maybe it was the way the biker kept glancing down the road, as if he too had somewhere important to be but no way to get there. Jacob stepped forward, holding out the 2 crumpled bills. "Here," he said softly, his voice rough with hesitation. "It's not much, but it'll get you a little gas." The biker blinked, taken aback. "Man, you don't have to." Jacob shook his head. "I've been where you are. Take it." The biker stared at the money, then at Jacob. His jaw tightened, as if he was struggling to understand why a stranger would give away what little he had. But finally he took it with a quiet nod. "Thank you," he said. "You didn't have to, but I'll remember this." Jacob smiled faintly. "Just pay it forward someday." The biker poured a small amount of gas into his tank, kicked the engine to life, and with a loud rumble rode off down the sunlit road, glancing once in the mirror at the man who had given him his last $2. That night Jacob went home empty-handed. Owen noticed the missing bread but said nothing. They ate a simple dinner of leftover rice and canned beans. Jacob tucked his son into bed and sat on the porch alone, staring into the fading sky, wondering if kindness had been foolish when you had nothing left to give. The next morning began quietly, just like the one before, until the low, deep hum of engines filled the air again. At first Jacob thought it was construction nearby, but as it grew louder, he stepped outside, shielding his eyes from the bright sun. Then he saw them, one motorcycle after another, gleaming under the daylight, turned the corner of Birchwood Lane. Then 10, then 50, then 100. Before Jacob could process what he was seeing, the street outside his small house was filled with more than 200 bikers, their engines rumbling in unison like thunder rolling through the sky. Neighbors came out onto their lawns, watching in awe. Jacob stood frozen. Owen peeked out from behind his father's leg, eyes wide with amazement. From the center of the group, a familiar figure stepped off his bike, the man from the gas station. He took off his helmet, a big smile spreading across his face. "You probably don't remember me much," he called out, walking toward Jacob, "but I remember you." Jacob blinked in disbelief. "The gas station. You're the guy from yesterday." The biker nodded. "Name's Mike Reynolds. I ride with the Iron Brotherhood, a veteran biker group. You gave me your last $2, man. You didn't know me, but you helped me when you didn't have to. I told the guys about it last night, and, well," he turned around and gestured toward the crowd. "We decided it was our turn to help you." Jacob tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. He glanced at the sea of bikes, chrome glinting under the morning sun. Mike stepped aside, and one of the bikers rolled forward carrying a large cardboard box. He set it down at Jacob's feet. Inside were groceries, boxes, cans, fresh bread, fruit. Another biker came forward, handing Jacob an envelope. He opened it slowly, his hands trembling. Inside was a stack of bills and a note that simply said, "For Owen, and for a man who still believes in kindness." Tears filled Jacob's eyes. I can't accept this," he said, voice shaking. "You don't even know me." Mike smiled gently. "Maybe not. But you showed me something yesterday I don't see much anymore. Heart. We're all brothers here, and you're one of us now." As the bikers began unloading boxes of supplies, one man carried over a used but beautifully restored red pickup truck. "This one's for you, too," Mike said. "We pitched in. Figured a soldier shouldn't have to walk to every job interview." Jacob covered his mouth with his hand, his body trembling with disbelief. Owen ran to the truck, touching it like it was a dream made real. "Dad, look, it's ours." Jacob crouched down beside him, voice breaking. "Yeah, buddy, it's ours." The bikers stood in silence for a moment, their engines idling softly, their leather jackets catching the sunlight. For a man who had felt forgotten, who had spent months drowning in quiet hopelessness, it was like the universe had suddenly remembered his name. He turned to Mike, wiping his eyes. "You said you'd remember this. I just never thought it'd be like this." Mike clapped a hand on his shoulder. "Good deeds have a way of circling back, brother. You gave what you could. Now it's our turn." The bikers spent the rest of the afternoon with Jacob and Owen, repairing the broken fence, cleaning up the yard, stocking the pantry, and making the place feel alive again. Laughter filled the air. Owen rode on the back of one of the bikes, his joy echoing down the road like music. For the first time in years, Jacob felt something he thought he'd lost forever, hope. As the sun began to set, the last of the riders gathered near the truck. Mike looked back at Jacob one more time. "Don't lose that heart of yours," he said. "The world needs more men like you." Jacob nodded, tears streaming freely now. "And the world needs more men like you too." When the engines finally roared to life again, the sound rolled through the small town like a symphony of thunder and gratitude. People waved from their porches. Owen stood on the sidewalk beside his father, watching the endless line of riders disappear down the golden road. That night, Jacob sat on the porch again, the soft glow of the porch light shining on his face. Owen slept soundly inside, belly full and heart light. The air smelled of summer and gasoline and second chances. Jacob thought about how one small act, a single $2 bill, had turned into something extraordinary. How the kindness he gave, even when he had nothing left, had come back to him multiplied beyond measure. He looked up at the stars and whispered, "Thank you." If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to Kindness Journal to keep spreading stories that remind us the world is still full of good people. And before you go, comment below with one word that describes what kindness means to you. It might just inspire someone else today. The night was quiet again, but this time it wasn't empty, it was peaceful. The kind of peace only a man who has fought too many battles could truly understand. For Jacob Turner, the war was finally over not because he stopped fighting, but because kindness had finally found its way home.